Good morning and welcome to this edition of the Lynn Freeland Show. I know, this is kind of like that weekend after Thanksgiving. You can breathe. You've been running around all week. You've been probably eating the last couple days, but we have a lot of food for you to digest for the mind today. A little bit later in the program, Hugh Price, the former national executive director, president of the National Urban League, is going to be here. He's going to be talking about his new book. And we're going to begin today with another book. It is Charged with a Crime in Western Pennsylvania, ? The author, Frank C. Walker II, is here. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So let's go, before we talk about the book in particular, let's give folks, because folks have seen you on TV.
Okay.
They see you outside the courthouse doing interviews about a client that you represented.
Okay.
But you have been a part of the Pittsburgh legal community for years.
For years, yes. My wife and I moved here in 2000, went to law school at WVU.
Okay.
And I worked at the Office of Conflict Counsel, worked for a small firm after that, and then I opened my own firm in 2011. So I've been doing it ever since.
Now, you do a lot of criminal defense work.
Yes.
Was that something that you set out to do? Was that a calling that you had, or did you just kind of land there?
No, it was definitely a calling, because I think it's an awesome responsibility to stand up for someone else, be able to speak on their behalf when they're not able to, or they don't want to, or they don't know how to. And I think that's an awesome responsibility that we as criminal defense attorneys have. Often we've been called the gatekeepers to the Constitution, because, if people go unchecked, then they can do whatever they want to. They can search, they can seize without any checks or balances. So it's our job as criminal defense attorneys to step in and say, well, you did that wrong. No, this is how you do it. This is how it should be done. You ran afoul of this law or that law, and you're speaking on behalf of a client. So that, to me, that's my calling.
So what I love about your book, Charged with a Crime in Western Pennsylvania, is that this is one of those things that everybody thinks they're an expert on.
Oh, yeah.
Man, if you get arrested, you should.
Right.
Oh, yeah, if they pick you up, they stop you, don't do.
Right.
But in your book, you're very clear-cut about what to do, when to do it, and how to do it.
Yes. I say this all the time. People ask me, what do you do when you get stopped by police? And my main singular advice is to just get home. Your main job is just to get home at that point. The book talks about that. The book talks about why you need an attorney. I'm advocating, obviously, that I'm an attorney in my services, but I'm not saying, call me. Call any criminal defense attorney who's experienced in your area, because you're going to need an attorney. Stop running your mouth. Stop thinking you can do everything yourself. Stop talking to other people who are not attorneys or who are attorneys who don't practice criminal defense. Stop looking online. That's just the absolute worst. Going online and saying, well, I looked on YouTube and YouTube said do this. No, just talk to an attorney. That's the main premise of the book. Talk to an attorney.
All right, so now let me back up. When you say, if you get stopped by the police,
yes,
your primary focus should be to get home.
Get home to your family.
So what does that mean?
Okay, so you get stopped by police. I'm not asking you, why you stop me? Let me get my phone. I'm filming you. No, I got the right to film you. No, your job is to get home. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Whatever you need to do to get home, call an attorney after that. Then you can fight about the irregularities or why they stopped you or whether or not it was a bad stop. You can argue about that all later, but you can't argue, really, you can't argue if you're in jail or you're somewhere else because you decided at that point in time you wanted to resolve the conflict. There's a time and place for everything. And a lot of times, you're stopped in the middle of the night somewhere, arguing with police, you're not going to win that fight. You're just not.
So would you say, and I've heard other attorneys say this, your best line of advice is don't answer questions, just do as they want, and then ask for an attorney.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because you get people, it's funny because when they're stopped by police and they finally get to you and you're asking all the questions, you're asking and probing, well, what happened? What did you say? Well, then I just told them what happened. I ain't doing anything wrong. I didn't have anything in my car. Yeah, I let them search. What do you mean you let them search? What do you mean you told them what happened? Oh, yeah, I just went down to the station and told them everything. Okay, if that worked, why are you charged? Why are you sitting here needing my services?
Okay.
Because be quiet, call an attorney, fight about it later.
But here's the thing.
Yes.
Okay, and I'm sure you've heard that before.
But here's the thing. I know. Here's the thing.
Most people do believe if I didn't do anything wrong, nothing can happen to me. But
That-
you can get caught up.
Yes, you absolutely can. You may think in your mind at this point in time, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm good. But you may not know where your car has been, or where your luggage has been, or where your clothes have been, or where you have been earlier that may still have remnants of that position later on.
Okay.
Now all of a sudden they're smelling something that you thought, wait a minute, I didn't do anything today, but you smoked yesterday. Now all of a sudden they have probable cause because they smell something. Now all of a sudden they're getting into a car. Now they're searching. Now they're telling you, oh, well, we smell something. You're lying to me. Now you're defensive. No, I'm not. You're calling me a liar? I'm a cop. I'm not calling you a liar. Now you're back and forth where you don't want to be. Your job is to be quiet, get home, call a lawyer.
We got to take a commercial break, but I want to get this one last question in before the break.
Sure.
Because the other thing is, so often people are stopped for random reasons.
Yes.
And then it escalates from there.
Yes. Officers try to do their best to de-escalate. I see them do it all the time. But a lot of times in their position, if someone's being defensive, asking these questions, telling them, I ain't doing this, I'm not stepping out the car. Why I got to step out the car? They're thinking, what are you hiding?
Okay.
What's in the car? Why don't you want to do what I'm asking you to do? And then it becomes back and forth. You're not going to win that fight.
You're not going to win that fight.
No.
So much more to talk about. The book is Charged with a Crime in Western Pennsylvania. Frank C. Walker is our guest. He's the author. He's the attorney. We'll be right back. We are back on the Lynn Hayes Freeland Show. So what happens if you're charged with a crime? Do you have any idea where to start? Well, Frank C. Walker II, attorney extraordinaire and author of the book Charged with a Crime in Western Pennsylvania, is here. I want to pick up on something that you mentioned to me in the commercial break.
Yes.
And I think that, sadly, everybody watches some kind of crime show on TV. And we've all seen that scenario where you got two people, one in this room, one in that room, and they're playing you against each other. What you said to me is they can do all of that legally.
Absolutely. They are permitted to deceive you. They are permitted to lie to you. So you're in a room, you're thinking, oh, they'll never know. Then they'll never know. The other person will never tell. They come and say, listen, all right, the gig is up. We got your fingerprints. He or she told on you. We got you on camera. What's it going to be? If I walk out of this room, I can't help you.
Oh, yeah.
I can't help you. Now all of a sudden, all right, okay, I'll tell you everything. This is what happened, man. This is what, real talk. This is what happened. And run it all down. All right, that's good. I appreciate you telling me that. All right, you're under arrest.
No, wait a minute.
There come the
So they
warnings.
can say they got my prints, they got surveillance video, and none of that's true?
None of it's true. None of it's true.
So then that comes back around to keep your mouth shut.
Yes, absolutely. Just keep your mouth shut. Don't try to argue. Just don't say anything. You have the right to remain silent. The question is, do you have the ability to remain silent? That's the question that we as attorneys ask the clients and tell the clients. Do you have the ability to remain silent? And that's a challenge because when you're thinking you're absolutely right and you're in a position of, oh, I know I'm right. I'm gonna tell him. No, this is just a misunderstanding. I'm gonna clear it up. Next thing you know, you're sitting at a preliminary hearing down at First Avenue, waiting on your name to be called. Yep.
One of the other things that struck me in the book, two other things I want to make sure we get in, is if you're contacted by the police and they say, we just want to ask you some questions, do you have to go and answer those questions?
No, and here's the rule of thumb. If they are asking permission, that means they don't have authority. For example, may I search your house? That's an ask. May I search your person? That's an ask. You want to come down? Can you just come down and just answer some questions? Please come down and answer. Just clear this up for me. I have their side. I want your side before I go to the DA and tell them what to do. Because once I go to them, nothing I can do about it. If they're asking for permission, that means they don't have authority to command you to do that. Now, when they tell you to come downtown, 9 times out of 10, they already know they're going to arrest you anyway. Now, you're just helping them out. You might as well just walk yourself to the jail. I mean, it's that simple. They know what they're going to do before you get there. They're just trying to make their case a little bit more stronger with your statements. Now, you go down there thinking, I'm just going to clear it up. Yeah, you sure I can come down. Then afterwards, thank you, I appreciate that. Then next thing you know, you got a warrant for your arrest. The attorney picks up the paperwork, reads it. Why did you go down there?
Right.
Well, they gave me an opportunity. They said they were going to go to the DA. They were going to arrest you anyway. So why did you go down there?
Okay, so ask an authority. Two key
Yes,
words there.
two key words.
The other thing you do in the book is you really lay out what it means to be indicted. And I don't think that most people understand what that means.
Yes, in the federal system, for the state system, you can be arrested or indicted straight by a grand jury process. Most times you're arrested or it's a summons. Or in the federal system, you are indicted where they go to a grand jury. It's a secret grand jury. And they present the information without your presence, without an attorney on your behalf. They present it to the grand jury, and it's been said, yes, you can indict a ham sandwich, which is true. They go in there, present the evidence. We're asking for an indictment as to first-degree murder or as to possession with intent to distribute 5 kilograms of cocaine. They return the indictment. Now, all of a sudden, you've been indicted. You have to get arraigned. You have conferences. You have discovery requests and respond to all that. So it's just a method by which they start a criminal process. That's more popular and more prevalent in the federal system.
In the federal system.
As opposed to the state system.
Now, do you know if you are the focus of a federal grand jury investigation? Do you know that?
No. Now, officially, no.
No.
But
deep down inside, you probably do.
Deep down inside, you know you did something wrong, or you're doing wrong, or you were around something that someone else did wrong, and something's happened, and something's coming down the pike. Go find an attorney, and be truthful with the attorney.
That was going to be my next point.
Tell
with
them
you.
everything. Don't think I'm just going to give him a little bit. He or she doesn't need to know all of this. I'm just going to give him a little bit. If they don't know where the potholes are, they can't avoid it. So they'll walk you right into it. And then they're looking at you like, well, why didn't you tell me that? Well, I didn't think you needed to know that. I don't think it was important. Every single thing is important. Everything is relevant. Everything plays a role in your defense. And if your attorney does not have that information, it's tough for them to defend you.
Biggest challenges you face as an attorney? Once someone has retained you, biggest challenge?
Probably getting them to listen to my advice, because there's so many different voices in their ear. You have the mother, the father, the sister, the brother, the friend who did time before, and now they're telling you how to defend your case. Or when you have someone in jail and you go visit your client. Well, I was talking to so-and-so and he said you should be doing this. And I said, well, what did they have on? What do you mean? What were they wearing when they told you that? Did they have the same red jumpsuit that you have on when you asked that question? Well, yeah. Well, if it didn't work for them, why do you think it's going to work for you? But they keep thinking it's going to work for them because it's consistent advice. It's not the correct advice, but it's consistent. And they need communication because they're broken off from it. Now, all of a sudden, they need to tell someone about their stuff. And now once someone's giving them advice, they're willing to listen to anything. So by the time I get there and talk to them, they're like, well, wait a minute, I heard this, and this. I think I'm going that way. I'm going in that direction. Why shouldn't we do that?
Right.
But we've been here before. We know how this case plays out. We're telling you our advice. Now, if you don't want to listen, that's fine. But I'm giving you sound advice. And most attorneys give that advice. Public defenders, private attorneys, they've been there before. They've tried cases over and over and over again. They're not there because they can't do it. They're there because they have that experience.
Right.
So when we're giving you advice, just listen to it. That's the biggest challenge.
That's the biggest challenge.
Yes.
The book is Charged with a Crime in Western Pennsylvania. Let's first talk about how folks can get a copy of the book.
Yes, they can go online, they can download it, they can contact my office, we can mail them a copy, or they can go on Amazon and get a copy.
I was going to say, I mean, the good thing about Frank C. Walker II is you're everywhere. All over social media, you are everywhere.
I try to get it out there.
We got about a minute left. Did you write this book because so many of these are questions that you run into on a regular basis?
Yes, absolutely. I try to educate. You want to educate a client. You want someone who understands a general overview, and that all your job is simple. You're filling in the gaps.
Okay.
And you have a verification of something in writing where they can go to and get their questions answered if they can't reach you on the weekends or at night or on a holiday. Well, he said, oh yeah, okay, he did say that. So it's easy for them to verify. Yes.
Perfect. We're so glad you wrote this book. You answered it. You taught me a lot, and I thought I knew everything.
I'll send you a bill. I will send you a bill.
I'm sure you will. Thanks, Frank. We're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, I had an opportunity to sit down with Hugh Price. He is the former national president of the Urban League, and he's written a book about his life story. It's book day today on the Lynn Hayes Freeland Show, so don't go away. A couple of final thoughts this weekend on the Lynn Hayes Freeland Show. We talked about two very different books today, but both very good reads. This is the time of year that you're starting to think about holiday gift giving. Think about giving one of these books to someone in your life. Certainly Charged with a Crime is a great book for any young African-American male in particular, but certainly females as well. Things to know, things to keep in mind as they are out and about in the streets. And Hugh Price, I mean, his story is really the story of, in many ways, all families, because it's the story of goals, dreams, hopes, and struggles. So think about both of those. In the meantime, next week on the Lynn Hayes Freeland Show, yeah, we're coming up on the end of the year. It's time to think about your financial plan, not only for this year, but next year as well. And we're going to talk about that so much more. Hope you'll join us. And don't forget, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It's all there. Reach out. Let me know what you're thinking. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving weekend. See you next week.